have 3 attendees. Hello, attendees. Thanks for joining us. I don't know, can you guys, those folks that are attendees, can you type in the chat box and just say who you are, if you're a student or a teacher, and maybe where you live or where you go to school? And we'll see if our chat box actually works. We'll see. Oh, we got Olivia as a student in Stevensville. We got the Stevensville crew represented.
Excellent.
Nice. I suspect that maybe Drake and Paige are also. Drake, yep. Okay, cool. Good job, Stevensville folks, for showing up. All right, we'll stop rambling amongst ourselves and get started. So Stevensville folks, it's great to have you. Were any of you participants last year? If you want to say in the chat box there, or if they're maybe brand new. So we'll see there. But welcome anyway. My name is Christiana Aelfson. I'm the education director at the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula. And I'll let Emma introduce herself and then Molly can go.
Hello there, Emma C. I work with Christiana at the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula. I'm the curator of collections over there.
Great. And I'm Molly Stockdale. I am the executive director of Travelers Rest Connection. We are the friends group for Travelers Rest State Park. And if you've been in Stevensville schools for a while, I'm sure I have seen you here at the park on a field trip.
Awesome. And so our role in History Day is that we are the Bitterroot Regional Coordination Team. So what we're doing here is helping you guys figure out, and your teachers figure out why we're doing History Day and how it all works. And it's a little different this year because of the virtual format. So we'll go through it, talk about all those things, and then this will be recorded too. So if you guys have friends or your teachers want to watch it later, and then we're going to be resources for you guys too. So anytime, if you guys have questions while we're talking, feel free to throw it in the chat there. And then also, as you're working on your projects, if you're looking for resources or if there's something that's confusing to you, you can go ahead and email us, and I'll make sure to send you guys all the information about how to contact us. So Emma, you want to get started?
Sure, and I see in the chat that we have some first timers, which is lovely. Just to give you guys a heads up, this is going to be recorded, and so we may have some folks who know what I'm talking about, but I'll definitely go to give a good overview of what National History Day is. So essentially, it is, I have notes is what I'm reading. Essentially, it's really this amazing national educational program that allows for students to conduct, essentially connect history to their like a more broader form in a very unique and meaningful way. So essentially, the program asks students in middle school and high school to complete in-depth research into a historical topic related to a specific theme. Our theme this year is communications and history. Yes, and one of these two is going to tell you more about this specific theme this year. And then you express that historical research in a couple of different formats, which Molly will tell you more about later. Now, there are different levels of this contest. There are regional levels, which is what you're learning about right now, a state contest, and then a national contest. So essentially, you go to regionals, you go to state, you go to nationals. It is an award-based system, to clarify that. So there are two different age groups. There are two different age groups within those contests. So there is the junior age group, that is grades 6 to 8, so middle school. And then there is a senior age group, 9 to 12, high school students. So you will be competing against students within your same school range. So you won't necessarily, like a senior in high school will not be competing against someone who is in 6th grade, for example. That would be a little ridiculous. So these contests and your projects are being judged by history enthusiasts and experts and educational professionals. And what they do as part of the contest is they provide you with feedback about your projects. So how it could be improved, what you did strongly, and essentially not only are they helping to award different, whether you're first, second, or third, or anything like that, but also to help you continue to improve as you go along through the contest circuit, all the way to nationals. Oh, I realized I was going to share the National History Day screen. Why didn't you guys remind me of anything? Hold on. Oh gosh, of course I can't find the website. Here we go. So essentially, National History Day, if you want a really very just inspirational video, it's 2 minutes long. You should watch this video if you really have anyone who wants to understand what National History Day is and why it's important. That little video right on the homepage is a great place. But this National History Day page is going to be a great place for more resources that we'll talk about later. But in general, if you're curious as to why National History Day is good and it is important, this Why National History Day Works page is a great way to explain that. As both a coordinator and a judge, I have seen firsthand about how passionate the students can get about their projects and about history and about learning and sharing their knowledge with folks. And I've also seen it just continue to expound even further past the contest itself into additional things. So basically, this is a really great tool that teaches you how to do critical thinking, writing, research skills. It also boosts your confidence in so many different ways because you essentially get to translate that research into something that you love to do, whether that be creating an exhibit or making a performance. And as you can see here, it really does a whole lot of good stuff for you down the line. So it can prepare you for college, it can prepare you for your school, like your further schooling past that, or your career even further. So really, it is just a wonderful program that I would wholeheartedly suggest that everyone should participate in. And so I'm so happy that you guys are joining the contest this year, especially for your first time. And if you are a freshman, you have 4 more years to do it, or 3 more years to do it. And we would happily have you back every single year. So what I think we decided that Molly is gonna talk next, yeah?
Yes. And I think it might be easier for me to share my screen so that I can zip around.
There you go.
Let's see if I can find this easily. Here we go. Okay. So I am also on the National History Day site, and I'm going to start by talking about the different categories of the kinds of projects that you can do to participate in National History Day. So if you go on the website for students, this is going to be a great resource for you. We're going to talk about the theme, how to get started, but I'm going to start right now with project categories. Whoops, I keep doing that and it keeps going away because I'm on that page. So the different project categories, we start with documentary. And this is really, you're going to make a documentary film. You're going to do the research into the topic, figure out what kind of project relating to the theme of communications and history that you're interested in doing, and then figuring out different ways to create a documentary film. You might consider doing interviews with people and filming those. You might visit historic sites and create footage there. There's a lot of great information on these pages on how to use each one. I kind of loved on this page, how is documentary different from other categories? And this sort of points out how picking your category is really about doing what you do best to make the best project possible. So for example, if you're really into computers, technology, cameras, this is a great category for you. If you have the availability, if it's possible for you to conduct interviews or find film clips, when you pick your category, you really want to play to your own strengths. So if you feel like making a movie is something that would really be interesting to you, then documentary might just be your category. But there's others to choose from. The exhibit category is sort of a traditional category where you're going to create a little, kind of like a storyboard, using text and pictures to create an exhibit that I was hoping there was an example right here, but there's not. There are examples on these pages, so you can take a look at them. But you might just consider like these girls up in this top, if you can see this, they are standing in front of an exhibit they've created, and you can see that they have photos with labels and they have text. This is a great way to, if you like to organize a lot of information in a sort of graphical way, an exhibit is a good category for you. This year, because the event is virtual, there are other ways. You don't have to make the physical exhibit. You could make a virtual exhibit using a template that's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation instead of creating a board like we would usually do if we were meeting in person. Writing a paper. So the paper category is really just that. You're doing the research and you're writing. You're not worrying about adding in pictures or filming interviews. This is a great category for folks, number one, who like to work alone. All of these categories could be are good for individuals. Some of them lend themselves better to groups, but I think this year, because of the virtual environment, group projects are going to be really hard to coordinate. So I would probably recommend trying to do an individual project this year. And if writing is your thing, a paper gives you the ability to put it all down in words instead of trying to coordinate all of the other visual elements. But now here's the opposite. If you are really outgoing, you love to act, be in the theater, then maybe you want to create a performance. In this category, you can actually do living history. You can portray somebody from history. You can deliver a speech. You're going to write a script and have costumes. And I love this little down here. So they give you the whole, like, these are the steps that you want to take, right? You're going to research your topic. You're going to write your script. You're going to make a set. You're going to figure out how you're going to block the performance. That means, how are you going to move through the space in your performance? Costuming, and then practice, right? You're going to rehearse just as if you were doing a play. So if performance is your jam, this is a good category. And then finally, we have the website category. And this is exactly it. There is a website builder from the National History Day. And you can see here, there's a link to NHD Web Central, and that's where you'll build your site. And again, this might be a great option for somebody who is into tech or also just likes to use all kinds of different ways of delivering information. So on a website, you can have text, you can have photos, you can link to videos, although there are some restrictions on how much time can be video or audio. So you'll have to be careful in making good choices about how much of each to use. I like this this direction down here that says, keep it simple. Don't waste too much time on bells and whistles. Tell your story and tell it straight. And I think that's good advice for all of the different categories. So lots of choices there. I highly recommend that you get on the website and take a look and decide what really is exciting to you about how you want to deliver the message. But the other part of this is that you have to actually write the message or do the research so that you know what you're communicating to other people. And this year, the category is communications and history. I don't want to give you too many examples because I think half the fun is figuring out what communications and history means to you. But there are also some sites where you can take a look and see what it might mean. Here on this site, under the annual theme, you can, if it's going to click through, there we go. It'll give you some ideas about what you might want to use for communications and history. I'm going to tell you a little story. Recently, I did a craft class for a bunch of women online, and we all are cancer survivors. And so we all made get well cards for each other. And before I started doing the class, the craft class, I researched the history of get well cards and created a little PowerPoint. And it was really fascinating to me. I had no idea that they started off as what they called sunshine cards. And it was just to send a little brightness to people, because back in the day, you couldn't text, right? You couldn't just send a quick email. You had to spend a little time and write out a card to send a little sunshine, let people know that you were thinking about them. And it might take like 6 days for that message to get there, but they knew that you were thinking about them. So that's something that might be communications in history, right? That's the history of how we send get well messages to one another. How would I create a National History Day entry out of that? I guess that would all depend, right? Another resource for you to take a look at, and I'm gonna see if I can, I'm struggling here. Let me know if this changes. Can you now see this Montana site? So there's a National History Day site on the mhs.mt.gov. That's the Montana Historical Society. And so they also have information on National History Day, including a link to maybe some local ideas about communications in history. So this is a big document. I'm not going to wait for it to load completely, but I just wanted to let you know there's a couple of places that you can go to look to get inspired about communications in history. And you can also talk to any one of us on this call. Emma and Christiana and I are always happy to listen to your ideas and give you some feedback and maybe point you in a direction where you can begin your research to create your project. Okay, and I think with that, I'm going to hand it over to Christiana, who's going to tell you some of the more nuts and bolts parts of this.
Okay, so I've been loving the chat commentary here. So for those of you who are not watching this live, you'll just have to bear with us there. But we've got a handful of kiddos from, I think, mostly Stevensville, who are asking questions. And, you know, they've got some pretty specific questions, like they don't know what to do their project on. And so these resources that Molly was talking about will help you with that. So I'm gonna see if I can share mine now. So one thing I think, you know, we're talking a lot about different kinds of categories, and you guys are probably just in your first days about thinking of this project. So don't panic if you don't know which category you're going to use. Going back to the basics there, we all are going to do some research. We're all going to have to pick a topic and figure out a theme and a big idea about communication in history. And then you think about, what do I like to do? Like Molly said, do you like expressing yourself visually with pictures, or do you prefer writing? Or are you really interested in making a documentary? Or do you love websites, which are kind of in between visual and writing? So just at this point, start thinking about that kind of stuff. And as far as figuring out what you're going to do your topic on, that is a hard one. It is going to take some work and some thinking. So Molly mentioned a few different resources, and I'm going to share one, two in just a moment. Get my page up. So,
and while Christiana's working on that, I did want to mention too, that there are other folks that work in history in your neighborhood, in your town, in the area, in the region. I mean, we all work in museums, but there are folks who work in the libraries that can help you do some research. Your teachers can help point you towards some things too. This is a real chance for you to kind of use your whole network, right? Talk to different folks. Your grandparents might have the best ideas ever. So remember to bounce ideas off of other people.
Even your peers as well. So say you're a person, Molly already gave us the example of get well cards. So that was something that she was thinking about, and sending mail is another type of communication. But there are lots of different themes that have to do with Montana history and communication. So I'm back at the Montana Historical Society's History Day website, which will be linked on our website if you can't find it. And they have this whole theme, this whole page here that's topics that relate to this year's National History Day theme that have to do with Montana. So if we look on the right-hand side there, we can see different things here. Has anybody heard, maybe you guys don't know this story yet, but at one point, I think it was, we'll pull it up. Was it in Billings? Yes, in Billings, there were some people that did some things against Jewish people, and folks got together in Billings and united together to make sure that everybody knew that wasn't okay there. So there's all these different web resources here if you wanted to do that kind of a topic. But this whole website, you're just going to have to take a peek. There's the Hellgate Treaty. So if you're more interested in early like Native American history and how people interacted and how that communication worked or didn't work, there's something there. There was a free speech fight where people went to jail for trying to talk about labor rights right down the road in Missoula in 1909. So there's a lot of different ones where you can just sort of scroll through and click on it. You don't have to know what it is already, and see what you think about that. So might be starting out with some brainstorming. What kind of history have you been talking about at your school? What kind of things are you interested in? Are you interested in sports or art, or, there's all kinds of different ways to get started. So we can talk to you guys more though at the very end about different options that you might be thinking about. Okay, so getting my brain back in a different place here. That's one option. There's also, let me see, that's not the page I want. That's that National History Day one again. I think we got some people talking in the chat, so I'm just going to check and see what they said. Except for I can't see it. Sorry guys, let me stop the share for a second.
I was going to say, I'll read you some of these questions if you want,
Okay.
Christiana.
All right, okay. I do see the new ones. For our topic, does it have to be about Montana? Nope, that's kind of up to a discussion between you and your teachers. If you are doing this for a project in your class, they might have a specific time period that they want you to be thinking about. So it could be if you're in Montana history in your grade, they might decide you need to pick a Montana topic. There are certain prizes awarded by the Montana Historical Society and other organizations that are based on certain topics, like say Montana history or best use of newspapers or Irish history. And I'll give those links all to your teachers too, but you can find them on the National History Day page, just in case you're thinking forward to future scholarships. Okay, asking about links, we definitely can help you guys find links. And some other folks were interested in about whether it could be a Google Doc. You can definitely use a Google Doc to write your paper. And when they search, you have to pick one from the website. You don't have to pick one from the website. You can pick one from your own interests and your own subject matter. So you might be able to find something local to you guys in Stevensville, like the Mission or Fort Owen. If you're talking about communication between Indian agents and the Native Americans that were out there, it's all kinds of local things, but it doesn't have to be local. So check with your teacher specifically, because it kind of depends on what you guys are doing in school. And I will give you guys, oh, sorry, go ahead, Emma.
Just quickly, even if you guys think that the idea of communications in history is narrowing, oh boy, you will realize that it is not. I've been through a few National History Days where the theme seems like, like last year, wasn't it tragedy and something else? And the amount of ideas that you can tie, like topics and themes that you can tie to that is astronomical in what you can think of. So that page that Molly had shown on the National History Day site that talks about the annual theme, it does actually kind of show you that maybe something that you didn't even realize was a communications and history type topic is something you could explore. And so both of these lovely, my teammates here have pointed out that, you know, the goal is that you find something that interests you, that makes sense to you, and that you can then show in the way that best suits you in the category format, if that makes sense. Sorry to jump in, Christiana.
No, that's okay. Yeah, so, and so this next section might be a little bit mind-boggling because especially if you're one of my middle schoolers that are here, you're going to get a lot of help from your teachers to figure out how to do the formatting right. So don't panic. But I'm going to show you guys a document that you'll be using with your teachers. And to anyone who watches this later, this will all be available on the Historical Museum's website. And then folks in the chat were asking for the web address for that. So we'll put that in the chat too. So let me get back to my screen share and I will show.
Adding some things. So I'm adding some websites in the chat right now, Christiana.
Great, thank you, Molly. Oops, I'm trying to share the screen we're looking at. That's not going to work. Okay, so we've covered the fact that History Day is good because it helps you learn critical thinking skills and you get to express yourself creatively. Molly told us about some places where we can find out more about the theme and the different categories. Now this section is about what format you're going to have to use to do how you're going to submit your project at the end of all of this. So this page here, you guys don't have to worry about memorizing all of it as I'm going through because this is going to be linked on our Historical Museum's website. Goes through a bunch of different guidelines for how to submit your project. We do have a new rule book this year through National History Day, and you can go back to that National History Day website, the big one for the national competition, and you'll see the rule book is all over there. There's a place where you can download it. There's some more links on this page to show you an overview video so you can think more about what communication and history means as far as a topic. And then this page, as we go down, shows you the deadline for submission for all of these. So this is very important. Each one has a slightly different date so that we can keep you guys all organized and not get too mixed up. So if you're going to be doing papers, there's a little section here with that'll take you right to the rules for writing papers and tell you how to save that document. So someone asked if you can do it as a Google Doc. You certainly can. And then your teacher is going to help you, or if you already know how to do this, when it comes to the saving part, you'll save it as a PDF with your name. Like this person's name was John Smith. So they said John Smith Regional because we're a regional competition. And so that's going to be the easiest way for us to be able to see your paper and for it to not get changed. If you put it in a PDF, we can't accidentally delete half of it. The websites, I loved the websites at National History Day because it's a great mix of visual things and written things. And it's also a great skill set to learn. And if you want to do that, you have to do it through the website.nhd.org. And this document's going to be available to you. So don't worry if you're not catching everything I'm saying. And there's rules on how to do that as well. The important thing to remember about the websites is you can't work up, say you're submitting it on Thursday, the 4th of March. You can't be working on it on that same day. So there's like a freeze. Once it's submitted, you can't work on it past that date. Again, that'll be something that you can always follow up with one of us or with your teacher about. Documentaries. Again, there's another link here that'll take you to all the rules specific to documentaries and a bunch of different ways here that you can upload it. You can do it through a OneDrive or Google Drive. Probably Google Drive is the one that everybody's most familiar with. Or if you don't have a Google account, you don't want to get one, there's something called WeTransfer. We're not going to go into big details with that because that's something that we can figure out down the line. But just letting you know that all of this information here is going to be available in this document. So exhibits is the tricky one. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of different options here. So normally when we have National History Day, lots of people like to do exhibits on a trifold, like Molly was showing us on the website. And you can still do a physical exhibit like that, but you have to take pictures of it and upload it either as a Google slide or in PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you the template here of what that would look like. Possibly. Maybe. Oh, here we go. It's probably going to open twice now.
So while we're waiting, I wanted to just answer or address a question that's up here. One of the students' page posted, what day and time will we be meeting up? Is it always going to be Zoom? I just wanted to let you guys know that you're welcome to contact us anytime, but most of the work that you're going to be doing here is going to be with your teacher. And if you're going to do a group project, you're going to figure out how to meet up. And if you guys are used to using something besides Zoom, you do whatever you want. However it works best for you to get your projects done is talk to your teacher, talk to your teammates, you'll figure it out.
Yep, and in the past we've gone in to visit different classrooms and that sort of thing, and we can do something similar with teachers that are interested, but mostly your teachers are going to guide you through this. So if you are planning to do an exhibit and you want to make a physical one that you can copy, you can paste things physically and paint things and all of that, you are going to make a slideshow of it basically. So you'll take a picture of the full exhibit and then of each section of it, and then that will get submitted to us instead of an actual physical one. This is probably a lot of like too many details for what we're doing today, but this is all going to be available to you guys and your teachers. Another way to do it is through PowerPoint, but it's basically the same thing. So if you've ever watched a slideshow that your teachers have shown you, or that you've made one, you're basically uploading your pictures into a slideshow. Now, one thing we didn't talk about though is that each of these contest types or categories all have more paperwork that go with it. So say you are a performance person, you're still going to have a little bit of paperwork to go with it. And this year they're asking you to send pictures of your costumes and your sets and all that kind of thing, since we won't be able to see you guys in person. So if you are interested in a performance, there's a whole section in this document that'll show you what you need to do. But if you're doing an exhibit or a website or a performance, anything except a paper, you're going to do something called a process paper. And you're also going to include something called an annotated bibliography. So there are tons of resources out there, and we're going to have links on our website as well that'll tell you more about doing a process paper and doing an annotated bibliography. So if you've ever done a bibliography before, that's just keeping track of all of the sources that you use. And an annotated bibliography means you're adding notes to it. So it's not really a scary thing if you've never done one before. It just has a specific format, but there are resources for that. And the process paper is a little paper that goes along with your contest entry that talks about how you got to your final product. So what did you work on? What sort of sources did you use? What was the hardest part of it? Who did which part if you're doing a group section or a group paper? It's just a way for your judges to know a little bit more about how this project worked out for you. Just going to scroll through here and make sure I didn't forget anything. Like I said, this document is going to get to all you guys through our website or through your teachers. So don't panic. Molly or Emma, do you want to add anything yet at this point? Okay.
No, the only thing that I'll say is obviously virtual contest is completely different than what it would be in person. So even if this is your first year doing it, or if it's your second year, it's going to be a little different than what you're used to, but it's also, if this is your first year, be ready for it to potentially change next year if you decide to join us again. One big thing that is different is that there's not really going to be one a big day where we're all together in one space, and you get to see everyone else's projects and do all of that kind of stuff, which is usually a big fun part of this whole process. And obviously we're all feeling those woes of not being able to be near everyone anyway. Obviously we're doing this on Zoom in the first place. But I just want you to know that it is a little bit different, and we also understand how weird that is, and we are also not a huge fan that this is how this has to happen, but it will be a little bit different in the future. But just bear with us for this virtual contest. It'll still be loads of fun.
I do want to share one more resource before I forget, if I can find it again. So I keep talking about our website. So FortMissoulaMuseum.org, that is where Emma and I work. And when you go to we'll start from the beginning. Say you just Google Fort Missoula Museum or the Historical Museum at Fort Missoula, and you're like, I know there's a link somewhere. You go to Education and then Educator Resources. And then you'll see this button, this Montana National History Day. Click on that. And then that's going to take you to the important dates. And these are all links to different resources, like teacher resources and more about the theme. And then what we're also going to add is all that material that we looked at today. So all of those, that document that had all of the details about different formats and that sort of thing. So that'll be a good one that we'll share with your teacher and with anybody else who's interested. Okay, I'll stop my share there. Question there. Can you choose which contest you attend in, was Drake's question. Well, since you guys are in, I think you guys are all in Stevensville, so you are in the Bitterroot region. So you're gonna do a regional competition with us here virtually, so we won't actually get to see each other in person. Normally it would probably be at Fort Missoula or at one of the schools in Missoula. But you guys will be competing against folks that are all over. We don't know how many people are going to participate this year, but usually we get some folks from Missoula, and we even had some people from as far away as Kalispell. So that's the regional competition. Then you'll have an option to compete at the state level. And at the state level, you'll be able to take all of the information you got through the first contest here at the regional level and make your entry better so that you can compete with even more people from all over the state of Montana to get a chance to then compete at the national level. And I think they only pick 3 people from each category to go to the national competition. Nationals, again, will be virtual this year, but you'll have a chance to compete against people from all over the United States who have been doing research in the same manner that you guys have with the same requirements. And so it's a good thing to get on your resumes, and also potentially a way to get scholarships as well. Emma in the chat asked if there will be any Zoom calls after this. So we'll probably do some webinars, or we may do some webinars if there's interest about specific things. And your teachers, if you are watching this later, your teachers are going to be able to reach out to us if they want us to come and talk about something specific. And so we don't have anything scheduled right now, but there's a potential for it. But you don't have to worry if the Zoom format's not working out for you. You can communicate with your teachers and your classmates however you want to.
The national office has also created just an absolute load of YouTube videos that also go through this kind of material too, especially including stuff about the new rule changes for that new rule book. They actually made YouTube videos where folks are essentially reading out those rules to you and going through what they mean. There are videos about how you can do each project, like Molly was talking about, the different categories. There are so that way it wouldn't have to be Zoom, and it could be YouTube, and you can watch it, rewatch it as many times as you need to, go to specific parts or anything like that. So the national level has loads of more not live resources, if that makes sense at all.
I see. And someone else was asking what day and time the contest is. That's a little kind kind of a little tricky question. Officially, our contest day is March 6th, but you don't have to be anywhere for that. We're not even going to meet on Zoom. That's just when the judges get together and they look at your projects. So once you decide which kind of project you want to do, there will be a specific deadline for when you need to submit it. And then on March 6th, our judges will get together and they will meet together and go through all the entries. And then the next week, we'll let everybody know how it went and get you guys back your feedback. So you don't have to actually appear for an interview. Normally, in other years, when they're in person, you also have to do an interview, but you guys get out of the interview this year.
Somebody asked if it's the same project the whole time, and yes, it is. One of the best things about the way this is set up is that you create your project and send it into the regional competition, and then after the judges take a look at it, they're going to give you all kinds of notes on how you can make it better, and then you use those notes to improve it, and then send it to the state competition. And after the state competition, if you're going to move ahead, you'll have more notes to improve your entry, and then submit it to the national competition. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions in the chat? I think so. So I did want to add something about this. Just have fun. Like, I don't know, I'm a total history geek, and this to me, I wish I had known about this when I was your age. I would have been all over it. So if you even like history a little, I mean, I know some people are going to do these projects because their teachers are requiring them, but the thing is, it can still be a whole lot of fun. I love that National History Day gives everybody a chance to try to talk about history in a way that is exciting for them. So whether it's performing or doing a website or making a documentary film or writing a paper or making an exhibit, there's so many choices that you can really find a way to do some research into something and make history come alive in a way that makes you happy about history. So have fun.
Yeah. Definitely. So we can stick around for a couple more minutes. So we'll just kind of end here. But I think there was somebody who wanted to ask about their specific topic. So if somebody wants to either say it in the, oh, Emma, it was Emma there. So Emma, do you have a microphone? Because I can make it so that you can talk. Let's find out. Let's see. Emma. Okay. Emma from the chat, Emma participant, can you hear us? Can you say something?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Did you have a question about your topic?
Yes. So I was wondering if I could do the Salem witch trials, because I feel like that kind of has something to do with communication in the way like that they spread the rumors and stuff.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I think that's a good angle for that. Yeah, I think that you could make a good argument for that working out there. And I think if it's something that you're interested in researching more, you'll have to get your teacher to say yes or no for sure. But I think if you talk about how people communicated with each other back then and how easy it was to misunderstand somebody's intentions through gossip, then that might work. You can also think about, sorry, go ahead, Emma.
Sorry, it's all right. I asked my teacher about it, and she said that she thought it would be a great topic to do. And she said to just make sure with you guys.
Yeah, and I would say too, if you think about back in those days, who had the authority to speak for people? You know, if you were just a normal young lady, did your voice mean as much as the person in charge? You know, so there's a lot of aspects of communication that you could talk about. Good idea.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, did anybody else, let's see, I think we still have Drake and Paige there. Did either of you guys want to ask any questions, or is everybody good? I can make it so you can talk, but you have to let me know, like raise your hand or something. Okay, Drake is good. Drake is thinking about a paper. Excellent. Mm-hmm. That's probably what I would have done when I was in middle school too, but I like exhibits a lot. So I like exhibits because it's like what you write in a paper, but you can use pictures. Just throwing that out there.
That was my exact idea of what I was gonna do.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Paige, did you have anything you wanted to ask before we finish up? Can make it so Paige can talk. I guess not.
So Paige, I saw that you said you don't know what topic you want to do, and that's totally fine at this point. You have a lot of time to think about it. I would really suggest visiting some of those websites and seeing what there is to see there. And then, chat with your friends and your teacher about the things that are really interesting to you about history, because really communication in history touches on almost everything that you can think of in some ways. Like Emma's really into the witch trials, so that's a good choice for her, but you might be, in a completely different era, like the space program, who knows, right? It could be anything that's really interesting to you about history, and start there.
Any era of history. So yeah, it could be somewhat recent history, like in the 1980s. It could be the 1800s. It could be the 1600s. You can go really wherever you want. One thing, Christiana, do you want to share a little bit more about how they need to register for the contest itself? Just before, I know we lost a bunch of our folks, but if we have the video up for people.
Yep. So let me see if I have the. I thought maybe I had the registration form open on my computer, but I can get it open really quick. So this year to register, so before you submit everything, you'll just need to register ahead of time to let us know that you're planning on putting in a submission. That way we can plan for enough judges and stuff. So I'll share that registration form with you. It is super simple. And that's going to be also linked on our website, and we'll go out to teachers that are interested. So that's just a Google form here, and all you need to put in, you just need to know your name and email and school, what grades you're in, if you're going to do an individual or group project, who you're doing it with if you're doing a group project, and then you just have to pick one of these categories here. So you won't, and then a title of your entry. So you'll need to know that too. So you won't need to register you just need to register before February 15th or on that day. So you have a whole month just to get this first registration form in, and that'll go to your teachers as well and be on our website. So don't worry about trying to write this one down.
When do we need to have it done by?
The whole project?
Yeah.
Okay, the whole project, let's see, you said you're gonna probably do an exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so exhibits will have to be submitted on March 1st. So you still have, that's what, a month and a half away. So each of the different categories is going to have a slightly different due date. But
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would just say, if you're curious about what your specific deadline is, a good rule of thumb, pretty much all projects are going to start to be due by March 1st. So if you are ready by March 1st, you're good to go. If you have a later deadline, that's great, and you get a couple extra days, but definitely just plan in your brains that March 1st is when you really need to be pretty close, if not done, with your project.
Ooh, Paige had a question there about doing research about space. Oh, well, it kind of depends on what about space is interesting to you. So if you're interested in NASA and the manned space project where people got to, go in spaceships to see the moon and out there, then researching the space program would be a good one. If you're interested in how people understand stars or planets, you might have to look up the stars and the planets, or maybe Galileo or somebody. So there's a lot of things to do. But if you know that you're interested in space, that's a good place to start. She likes planets and stars. Okay. Paige, you're at Stevie, right? You have Jacqueline, I forget her last name, as a teacher. Okay. I will reach out to your teacher with a couple of resources for you to get started on. So. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up, but you can always reach out to us through our website. And I'm going to reach out to the teachers that are on our list. And if anybody has questions with research stuff, we will help you out. But good luck with History Day. Any parting words from Emma or Molly?
Just have fun.
Good luck.
Have fun. Yeah.
Good luck. Have fun.
All right. Okay. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.